What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Farrow from Monty and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monty the Pharaoh. Seen only here out of Indie Music TV. At the board is the super producer, Jeff, along with his partner, Jared. How you doing, Jeff?
So far, so good. You ready for a big show?
I'm ready for a marathon. I am ready for a marathon.
With his partner? You make that sound intimate.
I'm ready to go.
Why, Batman and Robin were partners, right?
Yeah, but did you see what they did to those two in Batman Forever? Let's not get into this. Anyway.
Yesterday's show was great.
What?
Yesterday's show?
Yeah, I remember.
All right.
Kind of, but you started feeding me alcohol, so you're going to ask me about yesterday now? Thanks a
It
lot.
was enjoy. Pharaoh's going to be drunk. That's what's going to happen. Gonna be
There's
drunk.
already a stain on his script. Gonna be. Yeah, okay. How you doing, folks?
But I had a good time talking about dolls.
Absolutely.
And, we'll talk to our guest about
great.
my idea of
Yes.
really bad wrestling dolls.
Right.
I wonder if our guest, superstar Tommy Rich, has his own doll. We'll have to discuss that, right?
Yeah, and what it comes with.
All right, before we get to anything, though, always on Monty the Pharaoh, we got to talk about very, very serious matters.
Oh, here we go.
So
Here
we're
we
just
go.
getting over a pandemic in this this country.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yes.
And
Recovery.
I want to talk to you about something that is really bothering me right now.
Something's bothering you?
The mullet is back.
The mullet?
The mullet is back.
That's what's bothering you in the post-pandemic recovery. Wow. You are really out there. Okay, what do we got?
We
Why
must
does that
stop
bother
this. The show must stop this from happening.
We're going to stop the mullet?
In the 6th century A.D., the Roman historian Procascubus, I
like
think,
the mullet.
wrote the following description of some of the Celtic warriors fighting fiercely against the invading Roman army.
Yeah.
Hair on their heads were cut off from the front to the temples to the back part behind the hangdown, which created the mullet.
That's how we got the mullet?
That's how we got the mullet.
That's a violent way to come across a new hairstyle.
And looking across here, I'm
What
looking
the
at
fuck?
the star.
Yeah.
And this dude looks like he's got a fucking mullet.
Dude, yeah, but it looks so good. I mean, I had one back in the day, and I wouldn't mind if I had one now. What's the problem
This
with
man, because he ain't got no damn hair.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
that is
You had
definitely
lovely hair as a young man. I just thought I would mention.
Oh, thank you very much.
You were,
I
you
did.
Were, you were dapper. Yeah, you were.
what was that word you used yesterday?
What?
Ducks? Something. What was
Ducks?
that? Use
That's
some
not
kind of word
fancy.
yesterday.
I used a couple of words.
Use some
Fraught.
fancy words. What is it?
Fraught was one of them.
Fraught was
I
one
am
of it.
Fraught with.
I like that.
You know, yeah, and there was another word that was fancy. Can't remember.
You impressed me when you.
Yeah, well, English was the only class I actually went to. So, what are you gonna do?
Oh my
Anybody
God.
seen the Pharaoh? Nope.
To the right is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings it In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, and Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page.
Yep.
Spotify, hear them on Apple Music and Reverb Nation. In fact, you will be performing later on today.
Yeah,
With
if my voice decides to show up, I think it's out in the parking lot getting wasted. But
well,
yeah.
WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware. If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty Nefaro can be seen on the Monty Nefaro YouTube page, the Monty Nefaro Facebook Live page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, and cable, channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30, and channel 20 on Tuesday at 1 a.m., where over 100, no, sorry,
Oh, yeah,
down
that's
to
right.
83,000 viewers.
Yeah, down to
took
83,000.
We took an AEW dump, man.
We kind of did.
And we're glad to be part of the Amazon Music team. We'll be right back with this pro wrestling legend, Mr. Wildfire Tommy Rich, where he'll be in the 80s con, where your friend and mine, Dave LaGreca, was saying that he was so excited. He was so excited when he sees Tommy Rich at 80s con. He's going to be like, Tommy, I can't wait to hug you so hard. I want to touch you, Tommy.
I'm going to hug him and kiss him and call him George.
We'll
Is
be
that
right
from a
back.
Bugs Bunny cartoon? See,
We'll
in
be
a
back.
second. Yeah, maybe. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design. Elm Logistics, for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Tired of that same old breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Same old tasting scrambled eggs, burger, that dinner steak, ribs, or pork chops? Why not add a little bit of spice or just a touch of heat to make the difference? Change that scrambled egg with a little bit of Johnny Fabulous's John Cena Sr.'s $1 Million Jalapeno Hot Sauce. Great on burgers, steaks, chops, and those barbecued ribs.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty Farrow. Only seen here at Indie Music TV. You notice how I delayed when the producer Jeff said go.
Tell
I
why.
kind of put a delay in there
Why be that?
because I'm starting to learn that the mics are usually pretty hot ahead of. See, I'm learning the game. I'm learning the game of this new producer.
You're readjusting.
I'm adjusting, checking, and collecting.
You're adjusting on the fly. Nicely
But
done.
more importantly, there. Mr. Tommy Rich, how are you, Tommy?
Here I am, guys. I didn't think they was ever going to quit talking.
Yeah, really.
First off, Monty Farrow, y'all, there's two reasons I wanted to come back to y'all's show, and don't think it's Monty and Farrow.
Oh, boy.
It's this nice T-shirt I got that says Monty and Farrow and the good fucking wine. That's why I'm here.
Well, he basically said that we suck, but the wine is good, and it's
Right.
worth coming back for.
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, thoughts on the mullet, man? Like, what is why are you wearing a mullet at this point?
Well, we got a big 80s WrestleCon going on, and you never get to time travel. That 80s was my favorite time of life, man. And so, hey, for a Connor's cure for cancer, the mullet is in, baby. Hey, everybody better show out because it's going to be a big time there, man. I thank y'all for having me on your show, man.
You are going to do huge. Everybody, again, in Northeast, wherever, is a huge Tommy Rich fan. How does it feel like you've made such a difference in people's lives, man? Think about that.
Man, we just blessed all of us, you know. I mean, thank God for wrestling fans, first off. Thank fans for following and just old school wrestling, man. I mean, God, the wrestling fans in the 80s, man, it's so cool to come back and just get, I mean, when I was 80s, that's the best time of my life, you know. So to get to come to y'all's show and plug Cure for Cancer and go back to the 80s again in my life, man, it ain't nothing but a blessing. And thank all them folks out there, because without y'all, man, there wouldn't be no me or them either one. So just thank y'all for tuning in and everything. And these two guys, they carrying the tradition on, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's our honor, sir, as always. So on yesterday's show, Tommy, I came up with this great idea, right? you know how WWE and AEW, they merchandise these dolls and they sell them and these action figures, right? And I thought, what if I just started making action figures of wrestlers that like really didn't do much in the industry? How do you think that would sell?
Well, hell, I don't know. Is that a
No, not. Not.
He's all the way over there.
Oh, you must have seen one of them little dolls, midget dolls they got of me.
No, but
What, like a weeble? They made a weeble out of you?
But
Well, I hope y'all put me in your new wrestling doll.
no, well, is there a Tommy?
I don't have one.
That's what I'm saying. There is no Tommy Rich doll.
Well, there's a midget doll.
This is a midget.
All right,
midget Tommy Rich
let's
doll.
say if there was a full-scale Tommy Rich
Oh, no,
doll,
so they wasn't.
what accessory would it come with? You know how G.I. Joe came with the Kung Fu grip? What would the Tommy Rich doll come with?
There it is.
Dang, I'm dumb for that. Well, it would come with the NWA World Heavyweight title back when wrestling was wrestling, is one thing.
Okay.
You know, back in the day, I got to wrestle the best of the best. And, you know, I mean, you talk about when wrestling was wrestling, you know. I have much respect for the guys today, but it's a different horse now, you know. So,
But to stay on the doll thing, what if we like did a twin pack of Tommy Wildfire Rich with Mr. Wrestling 2 in the shower, but his mask is on? Is that too
his
strange?
mask on or off?
Yeah, no. You told me he showers with the mask on, right?
He does.
Would that be a little
No,
too
you see,
strange?
this is
like
why-
a twin pack.
see, this
like he's
is-
got the bath towel.
This is why I'm the business guy. I would make the twin pack Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer doll, like combo,
I like it. I
right?
Okay.
And Buzz Sawyer would have that like do rag on his head, and you would be like just busted open with
Or
like
the
all,
headgear he wore, too.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Mad
right.
Dog.
maybe a couple of grams of cocaine in there, like maybe a little
What
bit.
No
accessories?
comment. No comment.
Cocaine accessories.
Accessories
80s.
included.
So Tommy, check it out. I was watching an old video of you with Gordon Soley and stuff like that, and
Yes.
again, for the casual wrestling fan or whatever, but if you watch Tommy in Georgia Championship Wrestling, every time you used to walk out there, I don't know how big the audience was in Georgia. I'm assuming a couple hundred people maybe at that point in that studio at that.
The
was
television taping.
right? Was there
Yeah.
100? Right? They were out of their minds every time you walked out there. But here's a question for you, and not that, just in general as a wrestler. Back in the 80s, it was a hot time. I'm sure women were all over all the wrestlers, and you guys are all good-looking guys, great builds, larger than life.
Mike.
Well, it's brother.
Hey,
You coming on?
No, sir. I gotta tell you, even
Pharaoh, call him on.
I gotta be honest with you. When
we're gonna make the sexiest doll of him. Oy, oy, oy.
Call
I'll
me
tell you
big
what.
sexy.
When I was watching the video, I'm like, I get it. This guy's a good-looking guy. I was
Tom,
like,
I mean,
whoa.
honestly, Tom, you were a rock star back in those
You
days.
were.
That's what he's getting at. I mean, go on.
But weren't the wrestlers, because the AIDS I was thinking about this. The AIDS pandemic was at its heaviest
that was
back
huge
then.
in the
weren't
80s.
weren't
The
all the
AIDS
wrestlers
fear.
scared about the whole AIDS pandemic thing
Like,
going
did that
on?
come into your consciousness? I mean, you got girls.
Well, not
throwing-
him. Just saying about
No,
wrestlers in
but
general.
Again, Tommy was just generally speaking. Tommy, you were at the top of those girls screaming. They screamed for you. I mean, were you worried about with the fear factor with AIDS during the 80s? I mean, or were you already involved seriously and you didn't have to worry about that
I
shit?
don't know. Back then, all the girls are clean. I don't know what you
He got
talking
lucky.
about.
Well, it's the luck of the draw,
They
supposedly.
all had to give me an ID patch. I don't know.
There we go.
What do you mean? They had like
There we go.
AIDS-free card?
Clean or what? I don't know.
Right, like they got their shot or something. They gave you
I guess. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Maybe, maybe not.
No, on a serious note, I was thinking about it.
Tom
I'm like,
Brady, is that you?
But that
Maybe,
is,
maybe
that's
not.
a fair question.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s, of course, back in the day, I did drugs too, So, I mean, and that's where a lot of that come from too, that just old dirty needles, which I never used. I
Thank God.
might have snorted a little bit, not saying I did or didn't, but anyway, I mean, the 80s was cool though. I mean, I'm glad I don't do drugs today because it's a different world with the fentanyl and all that stuff. I mean, it's just a different world. And as far as AIDS, I can't speak for nobody else. I mean, but I don't guess you did worry about it.
right.
I guess you consider yourself.
Ask Chris what he thinks.
I'm gonna have to ask him.
Chris, what does he think? He's passing by.
About AIDS in the 80s.
AIDS in the 80s.
Yeah.
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
See, that's a
Were
different.
you worried, like, deeply back in those days about, like, geez, I better watch what I do with my, you know.
I passed on more situations than I would even.
Liar.
But wait a minute, more. The mics are crapping out.
I was in the music business.
I hear you.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's why Chris is here, because the mics are crapping out.
The game was too low. I wanted to
Great. Hold on.
We got ourselves a slobber knocker! Slobber knocker!
Jeff, you want to go to commercial break? Hold on, Tommy.
Please stand by. We are expecting and experiencing.
Sorry, guys.
Insanity.
the whole game is just too loud. That's the problem.
Am I talking too loud?
No, you're fine.
Heck no. Heck no. I think we should continue.
Are we set? Is your mic off? All right, good. Back to the story. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just
Gotta laugh. The other option is crying. So I'm
got a
laughing.
legend in the house, and here we go. All right, Farrell, you're up, brother. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, why don't we just get off with nerd questions, because that's what I'm here for. So let's get the nerd questions going. Tommy, as you know, Undertaker just entered the WWE Hall of Fame. Obviously one of the all-time greats, and you've had past experience with the Undertaker, obviously crossing paths with him. Did you see the potential back in his WCW tenure that this guy would turn into basically a Mount Rushmore face?
Hey, he's the living dead, man. I mean, I knew him when he was Mark Callis before
Right.
he ever went to WWE. Of course, he was a talent then. I mean, as big as he was, he could walk that top rope back then, and just a heck of a talent and just a good person to me. I never knew him after he went to WWE, but always very nice to me. God bless him. He had a hell of a run. That's for dang sure.
What was your thoughts the first time you saw him come out as the Undertaker, or became aware of what he was doing? Did you? What
Well,
was
at
Tommy Rich
first
thinking?
I thought, but that's when the business went another way, started going another way, and instead, I mean, it was all character, which he was a character, but that was a little heavy for wrestling. But I mean, he's living proof that it worked, and God bless him. And I mean, hell, he's dead and still living, So yeah.
I mean, did you? Again, kind of a stupid question, but did you foresee him being this icon in the wrestling business?
Not necessarily the Undertaker, but he was a hell of a talent. I mean, even when he was in Georgia, I mean, you knew he was going to do something. I mean, who'd have thought? I mean, the Undertaker thing, coming to the ring and all of that. I would have never seen that.
Right.
But he took it and produced it and took it to levels that nobody ever knew of.
Right.
I mean, hell, it's like me. I've done it for 40 plus years, and he's more than that. And he was on top up there. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, I knew he would be a star.
So you did know he was going to be somewhat of
Yeah,
a star.
I mean, when he started in Georgia, I don't know how long he'd been working, but you could see the talent. And which I hadn't been, I hadn't been in Georgia that long either. And I was young, but you could see, and for big guys to make it, of course, back when I started, it was a big guy's business anyway. I mean, so to see him make it to come to New York and like the South, all the big guys come through, but wasn't everybody necessarily as big as the guys that went to New York. I mean, just the big guys, it was a big guy territory, And I mean, I don't doubt what he did because he did it, Undertaker, I mean, that was a hell of a gig he got.
Was he a shy kid in the early days of his career in the locker room that you saw? Or was he like, what was his personality like before he became who he became?
I mean, we was all young. I mean, he was big, but he was a young kid still getting into business, and I very respectful of, as far as I knew him. I mean, I didn't have a lot of dealings with him, but I mean, is Undertaker. I'm sorry, but anyway, I mean, he was always a gentleman. I never seen him get mad or nothing like that. I mean, he was always good. Listened. I mean, and that's what the young guys did. I mean, it didn't matter if he was as big as all of them or bigger. You had respect for the guys that was showing you the way. And God bless him, and I'm glad he made it because I mean, you knew he had the potential. Yeah.
Were the guys that you wrestled against, you're just like, they're not going to make it? I could just tell they just don't have it, or is that hard to judge when you're just having a match?
Well, it's hard for me because I mean, you look at the guys I wrestled. I mean, King Kong, Mosca, Blackjack Lanza, Bundy, Stan Hansen, the Andersons. I mean, you know, I wrestled the best of the best. For me to say, they'd already made it actually. You know, so I never really wrestled. I mean, I was either like my thing in Georgia, and I guess that's why my longevity was so good in Georgia too, because I would do singles and have a run with somebody, and then like first off, Tony Atlas and myself. You know, we were the first salt and pepper team to ever win the Southern Tag Team titles, and that's back in the day. I'm talking.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Tony didn't show up at the town one time because of a sign. It was, I mean, I'm going back, but I love Tony Atlas to death, and he was a pioneer of this wrestling business. You know, bar none. I mean, I know there was Burrhead Jones and Rufus R. Jones. I mean, there was a bunch of them, but Tony, I mean, he set the bar. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we'd fly in, he'd have one of my babies on each shoulder. You know what I mean? He was just good people, and still love Tony today. I mean, he's one that never changed. You know, with the hard times, and Tony been through some hard times. You know, and we all have. But Tony had a little tougher times, I think.
You said something interesting. One of the first, if not the first, salt and pepper quote unquote team. Did you guys take any shit for that? Did you ever hear any crap for that back in the day?
Oh no,
Good.
No, because I was a blue-eyed soul boy. You know. The folks loved me, and the folks loved Tony too. I mean, it was, you know, it was a good thing.
Right.
At the time, it was perfect. I mean, it was. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I mean, thinking to see where it's at now, and you know, it's just sad sometimes things happen and stuff. But Tony, you know, I mean, we were like trendsetters as far as that time was concerned. And then I'd had a run with him, and then I'd go on a single. Whether it was Rascal Mosca or Ken Patera, I wrestled Ken a lot, Superstar. I mean, I can name days all day that I think is going to make it. They already made it. I never had to wrestle. I was in the position that, you know, when I had a run, and that's the reason I stayed in Georgia so long. I mean, because I would do singles, and then I'd go like Wahoo McDaniel would come in. They'd team us up to work against the Andersons. And me and Stan Hansen, when he turned good, you know, we teamed up together. Me and him, we wrestled in Marietta, Georgia. Quick story, but we had an hour time limit. Ole Anderson comes in, he said, it was Ivan Koloff and Ole against me and Stan. So what do y'all want to do? Marietta sold out. I mean, it didn't hold but maybe 8,000 to 10,000 people, but sold out. And he said, what do y'all want to do? Stan Hansen looked, and of course I ain't gonna say nothing because I'm, you know, a young kid. Stan said, "Well, you're the booker. What do you want to do?" Ole said, "We'll go an hour Broadway then." If that's what you want to do, that's what we'll do. So we go out in Marietta, Georgia. We go an hour Broadway. Come back the next week, hour and a half. Ole, what do y'all want to do? Stan says, "It's your job. What do you want to do?" Ole says, we'll go an hour and a half Broadway. Sold out again now.
Jeez.
Mind you, hour Broadway, usually if a house falls off. Hour and a half Broadway, sold out again. We go out there, we go an hour and a half Broadway. Come back the next week, 2-hour time limit.
2 hours.
2 hours. And the people sold out again. What do y'all want to do? Well, whatever you want to do, Ole. He said, well, we'll do a 2-hour Broadway. At this time, I'm thinking, hell, just beat me, you know. So we go out there, we go out, and sold out now 3 times, all of that. Hour and 45 minutes, we're going. Ole says, duck the clothesline, do your Luthez press. I thought, well, fuck, we might.
Yeah, you can curse, go ahead.
I thought, well, we might as well go the 2 hours now. But anyway, I ducked the clothesline, hit it with press, the building went crazy, and sold it out all 3 times. I mean, that's how, you know, and it's easier to go an hour in a single match than it is a tag because the rhyme and rhythm's different. So to do that, and you know how big Stan, I mean, he's a big boy. I mean, and 3 weeks in a row we sold it out doing that. I mean, you couldn't do that today. I don't even know if nobody knows how to do that. You know, unless I had them to follow, I couldn't have done it.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy. Back to you, Mike.
Couple of fans out there. Ace Hunter says Tommy Rich still looks the same as he did in ECW. WTF looks amazing.
There you go.
Whatever his lifestyle, tell him to keep it up. A lot of people supporting your mullet.
I
Damn,
love
People
it.
loving the
right.
mullet. Roy Batiste wants to ask Tommy, which did you enjoy more, GCW or the Memphis territory?
Memphis was good, but I love Georgia, man.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know, I love Georgia. I mean, that's. I mean, when I first started, they had like the Memphis Inn, which was Jerry Jarrett promotion, and then they had the Nick Goulas Inn, and I started on Nick Goulas Inn because they wanted to save me to come because I didn't know a lot, so I went there to learn. Anyway, but we'd do TV in Chattanooga, and after TV, we'd go. Nick Goulas' uncle or brother, somebody had a Greek restaurant, but it picked up Atlanta TV's my deal. And we'd go over there and watch it. And I always thought to myself, I'd already made the big time, really. I mean, just to get into professional wrestling. But I thought if I ever got to go to Georgia, because I seen Diggy Slater wrestling #2, it just them guys. It was just, you know, it was a big thing to me. And then I got the opportunity to go, man, and you know, it was a blessing, man. But it had to be Georgia. But I love Memphis too because that's where I started.
You ever wish that you had maybe traveled more? Because as watching your whole career almost from afar through the wrestling magazines, and here in New York, we did get to see you on Georgia Championship Wrestling, but you were so over, and I always wondered, how come he never came to Vince? How come we only saw him in the NWA? Was it because you didn't like to travel? Because, you know, we hear these things, but...
It was, I was just old Southern cornbread boy, to be honest. And to be honest, Roddy Piper had me booked one time for Vince. And at the time, that's when WCW had started, and I'm not a big Crockett fan. So anyway, I just quit with them. And well, Crockett told me at Thunderbolt, he come in, he said, see, I'll never tell this story, but anyway, I love y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Do tell.
anyway, Crockett come in when he bought WCW, and he said, some of you guys will be hired and some of you will be fired. Well, I knew I had a job, but I had a lot of friends, you know. I had a lot of guys that you know, I respected and loved too, you know. I mean, just my guys. And but anyway, the icing on the cake, the top of the story was he picked a few that he was going to fly to do TV, and he told me and Thunderbolt Patterson we was going to have to drive,
Right.
you know, because we's rebels, you know. He didn't care for Thunderbolt, and he didn't care for me either, and which that's good because I didn't care for Jim Crockett either. So, you know, but
Can I ask you, why didn't you care for Jim Crockett? He seemed very, okay, outsider looking in, just fans, seemed very soft. Like, we look at Vince McMahon, this tough businessman, don't mess with him, he will just be done with you.
I guess
I
the
always felt like
perception-
Crockett was so,
perception.
why didn't you like him?
see, this cooler done got me toe up, and I'm telling y'all the truth.
That's here, brother.
I hope Crockett questions it too. No, I went and did a big show for Crockett. I was hot off Atlanta now. I did a big show in Charlotte for him at the big building. It was like third from the last, but I was a draw. I mean, back then, maybe I didn't realize it, but I know now, which I knew then.
Right.
But anyway, sold slap out. What do you think he paid me?
Sold out. How many
Sold
people?
out third from the last match.
How many people,
How many people in the arena?
you think?
How many tickets sold?
10 to
10,000?
15.
15,000?
So,
Yeah.
in
Back in
reality, I would
1980
think you would have been paid $10,000.
Well, you wouldn't have made that much anyway, but he paid me $150.
$150?
Wait.
I can, and I told Mr. Barnett, I said, Mr. Barnett, I said, I don't mind traveling. I said, but I can go to Carrollton, Georgia for you, and be to D Ford's a bar and make more money for you and have a good time, you know. Crockett didn't like me, you know, for what reason, I don't know, because I was a wild-eyed Southern boy. You know, and that might have been the problem. I was wild back then. But I always come, whether it was 10 minutes or an hour, I always did my job.
But that kind of explains it. You're actually explaining it. Business is business, right? He may not like you, but if you're drawing money, remember last time you spoke about Ole, and Ole didn't like you, but he realized that you were a draw for him. You know, he tried not to make it work out, but he couldn't stop the magic, and he went with it.
Right.
Was Crockett just that stupid that he couldn't go with the magic?
Well, just cause, I don't know. I might wake up drinking a beer, and I might wake up and go to bed drinking a beer. But I always did my job.
Right.
You know, and I can say that about a couple of more promoters, but I'm not going to mention them. But you asked the question. I just, like Mr. Barnett would ask me, he'd say, you know, why don't you want to go? And I told him. But like I'd work for Bob Geigel, and I didn't give a damn if I made $40. Because Mr. Geigel would pay you. If it was sold out, he would pay Tommy Rich what it's worth. I'd rather go make $40 for him than I had even go to work for Jim Crockett.
When Roddy Piper called you and gave you a pitch, obviously he must have given you some sort of pitch because you said that he called on behalf of WWE. Did you think to yourself, look, if you're on a card with Hulk Hogan, you ain't getting no $150, my friend. I mean, did you think about, like, maybe I should go up east and work
See,
with...
Pharaoh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, doesn't it make sense?
hold on.
If they paying me 150 here and 150 there for a big show, then why is he going to pay me any different?
You don't think you would have made money
I
with
don't
Vince?
know. It's the middle word of life.
Right.
my
No,
brother.
it's
I
a good point.
understand. I
You
understand.
know,
So let me ask you this.
But
You
you were so over, I feel like Vince working in Vince's company in the late 80s with the Hogan thing going on, I'm pretty sure that you would have made some serious cash.
Well, and I may have.
I'm speculating, my
Well,
friend.
no. But
Yeah.
and at the same time,
Yeah.
and Gunkel opened the territory there in Georgia at about the same time and give me a good guarantee to work for her.
Right.
I work maybe 2 or 3 days a month.
Right.
And like I said, I'm just an old Southern cornbread boy, man.
Were they taking care of you when you were fighting in, the Omni and stuff for the title? I mean, were you getting a decent pay for that at least?
yeah.
Oh, thank God for that.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
back to Crockett. It's fair to say in his passing, you probably didn't shed a tear, which is fine. I'm assuming.
I didn't even know it passed because I don't keep up with it.
All right,
there you
there you go.
You don't have a TV either?
But here's my thing, right? You have to stand up for yourself too. Why doesn't Tommy Rich either one use his Tommy Rich power and go to a gentleman, maybe I'll just say Flair. I don't know where Flair was on that level at that time, and say, yo, this is ridiculous. You need to stand up for me, or say to Crockett,
Interesting.
this is ridiculous. $125 for Wildfire Tommy Rich? Give me my money. Like, how come that doesn't take place?
Because business is business, man. And I nipped it at the bud. I just didn't go.
Gotcha.
You know, screw me once,
Right.
shame on you. But screw me twice, that's my fault.
Understood.
And I wasn't going to give them the opportunity again.
Right.
Because you know where you stand. Dusty Rhodes, the same match would have probably made $3,000 to $5,000.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So, but it just is a different, it's just different. I mean, that was just me.
This is kind of a tough question, so I want to put it the right way. So in the Northeast, growing up, right, when we were taught about Southern people, we always thought about them being racist and that type of situation.
That's not necessarily what I thought. I thought about Leonard Skinner.
Okay, well,
But that's me.
you, Farrell.
Yeah, that is me.
So my question to you is: you
I'm
grew
from
up
down south anyway.
in the South, beautiful family, I'm assuming. How were you taught about racism growing up? And then when you get in the wrestling business, you get to team up with a Tony Atlas and a Thunderbolt Patterson. I don't know how you were taught, so I'm asking you how your family taught you, and then how did you react in the wrestling business when you were teamed with someone of a different color?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, I was taught to treat people like they treat you. I mean, it don't matter what color your skin is. I mean, if somebody treats you with respect, you treat them with respect. And that's the way, I mean, that's the way I was brought up. I mean, it wasn't no black or white. I mean, if somebody was nice to me, I was nice back. Vice versa, I mean, and like I said, and when I was in high school, even, it was a harder time, but we had some black folk that played on the football team, man. And they'd come to my house, they'd eat at my house. I mean, I just, the way folks treat you is the way you treat them, So, and I try not to treat nobody disrespectful and hope it don't do it to me either.
Good for you.
fair
Good
enough.
for you.
How about you? How was you brought up?
Good question. So, I grew up on sports. My father taught me about sports, and I guess in the mind of a sports person, right, there is no color, right, because
Yeah.
it's all about being in a team. So I was always taught not like you, not to look at a person for their color, race, religion, whatever, for the human being that they are, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
and that's how I was brought up. But I will be honest. There is a difference between back then. You might not have felt it. We're not the same people, but I always felt the South was, to be fair, was a little behind the North in a lot of
it
thinking.
it may or may not be, but no disrespect, but you northern folk can be disrespectful.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You know.
I think I shared with you. I can't wait
live
to
in
get
Myrtle
out of here,
Beach
right?
now. I live in Myrtle Beach and deal with a lot of y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What are you doing down here?
Disrespect again. No, dude, I'm not judging, but y'all pretty.
Oh, you're judging a little.
Trying to
Swing in
judge
and curse
me
you
your
out.
damn self.
You better be careful, because I'm going to move this guy to Myrtle Beach right next to you, and then
boy,
you're
am I
really
gonna-
going to be in
I'm
trouble.
gonna
Look
bring
out
down
Myrtle Beach right there.
I'm gonna bring down the value of your beachfront property. I'll tell you that.
Before I go to break, I want to recognize the passing of Rocky King. You remember Rocky King?
Yes, sir.
Did you know
I'll
Rocky?
tell you a story about
Please,
Rocky.
thank you. Go ahead.
Hit
Well, I
it.
thought we was going to break.
No.
Anyway,
Go tell the
we're
story.
at a bar. There again, I just started wrestling in Memphis, and Rocky had come in. And we went to this bar called Wellington's down on Summer Avenue. And it was me, Rocky, Bill Dundee, and a couple of other underneath guys. And anyway, we go up to the bar, and we order a beer. And the bartender wouldn't serve him beer. And I thought, what the hell's going on? So anyway, a couple of words went from here to there. And anyway, long story short is I said, well, if this, we're going to just leave. But yeah, I've always, Rocky Johnson was a very good person to me, And we look around and all of them's gone but me and Rocky. And Rocky said, where'd they go? I said, I don't know, but I'm with you, boss. So yeah, I knew Rocky way back, but yeah, Rocky was always, and I know people say what they want. I mean, some people might not think the best, but he was always, that's how I judge somebody. You respect me, whatever, I'm going to treat you the same way. And Rocky was always very nice to me.
Oh, that's great. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with this icon, Mr. Tommy Rich.
See you in a sec. The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence. Collision Specialists. 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, Twice the burn.
Wrestling fans, now you too can look as cool as Monty and the Pharaoh by wearing the official Monty and the Pharaoh sunglasses at night for $8.99 each. That's only $8.99 each. Now available at montyandthepharaoh.com.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we have our special guest, this pro wrestling icon, Mr. Tommy Rich. Tommy, I'm a little concerned about you.
Please, Monty, don't call me Mister again. Every time somebody calls me Mister, I have to assume position. Yeah, Tommy's fine.
You got it. So we always hear about the tough life of the pro wrestler, right? They got some documentaries out there. It was very tough on the road. And, you know, from being on the outside, I think we spoke about this in the green room. I was like, what was so tough about being a pro wrestler? You went on the road. Women loved you. I'm sure everywhere you ate, they gave you free food. What was so tough about it?
I have no
Nothing
answer.
really. I guess we're just bitching. It's hilarious. No, I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah.
Please, do explain.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, please explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You're not
didn't say
complaining.
that.
You're not
I mean,
complaining.
but you know, I was one of them guys. I mean, we wrestled 6-7 days a week. But you look at some of the guys that went to the gym and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I'd go every now and then have a health drink.
Right.
But a lot of, I mean, it was hard on the road for a lot of guys. I mean, I could see where it'd be hard. But see, there again, I was blessed. I wrestled right there in Georgia and Tennessee. You know, some guys you might go to Florida for 6 months to a year, and then you had to pack your shit up and move to Texas or somewhere. Where me, I was, just so blessed and lucky that, I went to Georgia and you stay so long and you do get burned out. And but I would go home to Tennessee. So it was, it was all good to me. It was all a party, I'm going to tell you. Even just wrestling for an hour, man, to just get to go out there and get in the ring and the people buy what you're selling, man, that's what it's all about. You had to slow down and smell them roses, man, and like today, it's just so fast, people. I just, I don't see how they get it. I mean, I did it at the best time in the world, man, and had so many good coaches or whatever, that it just, I have nothing, I mean, you do hear people sour about the business. I mean, and I've had ups and downs too. I mean, I've been broken a broke stink dog, but I wouldn't take nothing in the world for it.
How did Paul Heyman treat you? Just curious.
I met Paul when he come to to Tennessee. He came to Tennessee, was where he first got a place managing, managed me and Austin Idol. Paul was always good, and they brought me up there with Tommy Dreamer. I had a lot to do with it, and I didn't even know Tommy, but he was a big Tommy Rich fan, and I love Tommy Dreamer to death. But Paul always good, and they took me to ECW. They treated me very good. It come down, I was going up there to wrestle, and then they figured the FBI thing out and asked me would I mind managing? Well, hell, you made the same money, so no, sir, I don't mind. Sign me up. I ain't never done it, but I'll damn sure try. And which it got over it got over so good. I mean, it was, some pie, baby.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were Italian. Did Paul pay you on
Full
time?
blooded.
Yeah,
full-blooded.
Did Paul pay you on time all the time, or is his reputation in ECW kind of accurate? Did you get your paychecks on time with Paul? Or?
Always.
Really? Oh, he did like you. Okay, all right. You did it
But
right.
they was rolling when I was there.
Yeah.
They was, now they had a wild and crazy bunch, and I thought I was wild and crazy, I fit in good.
What'd you think of the fans? What'd you think of the passion of the fan base when you got to ECW? You must have been a little surprised, right? Like, holy crap, these people
I
are
come
really...
from the Southern Bible Belt.
No, I know, but this was like their whole,
Where shit or hell's a bad word.
Let
alone that F word and all that. I mean, y'all sling some words around up here.
Little culture shock when you got to ECW with the crowd?
Little bit.
Okay. They made you feel welcome, though, I would assume, though. I mean, you're
Oh,
an
I
incoming...
love for them to hate me. See, that's the thing. That's the difference.
He's not Italian!
That's the
Boo!
difference today and yesterday, too. You got to have good versus bad.
Right.
And if you're going to be bad, then you got to be bad. You
Right.
can't be in between shaking hands and kissing babies.
Right.
That's what the good guys do.
Right.
And I think that part of the business is lost now. I think everybody, you got your good guys, but everybody else is an in-betweener, I think.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, what has become of the Tommy Rich type baby face? Did Stone Cold kill that when he started getting cheers as a good guy acting bad? Because it seems like there is no Tommy Rich type nowadays. What do you think changed the role of the baby face?
Well, the business is so fast now. Nobody sells. I mean, if it hadn't been for selling, I wouldn't even got over. I mean, that's what got me over.
Right.
Was, getting out there and getting my ass whooped and then
Right.
fighting back.
Right,
I mean,
sure.
that's what I was all about.
So let me ask you this, right? So you've been in the wrestling industry, obviously, a very long time. Tony Khan, who's running AEW, right? Billionaire, however he made his money, don't care.
Dad.
Do you think there's a problem that a wrestling fan is running an organization and it's not a true wrestler that understands the business, and this is destroying the business of what he's presenting right now?
That's all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I tune into that every now and then, but it's got some wild too. I mean, but it's I don't know. The business has just changed so much. I wouldn't take nothing. I'm glad I got to wrestle when I did.
Right.
Because 40 years from now, ain't nobody gonna know none of them. In 40 years, they still know Tommy Rich.
Damn straight. That's what we
Thank you
always
for your
say. But
honesty.
I'll pose this to you though. Would your type of wrestling or our type of wrestling get over with today's audience? So your point is well taken. No one's going to remember 90% of these people. They might remember Roman Reigns.
Sure.
They will remember Roman
Yeah.
Reigns.
Sure, they will.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But overall, you're 100% correct. But would Tommy Rich, Buzz Sawyer, Steel Cage go over with today's audience?
Buzz Sawyer invented the Hell in the Cell. That's where that come from. That's that lost tape for 20, 30 years that they finally found. I mean, it was raw. It was raw. Paul Ellering up over the ring in the cage, then they throwed some fence over the top. That's where all that stuff started from. I might not be in the Hall of Fame in WWE, but every time they do one of them things, they'll call me and ask me to do an interview. I could tell them kiss my, but hey, that's business.
Why
It is
are you
what it
not
is.
in the Hall of Fame? What the hell is wrong with this picture? I mean, have they ever reached out to you? You should be in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, I'm just saying it. But have you ever been approached? Have you ever heard wind that they might consider
No.
it?
And I never will be and don't care. I mean, all I know is I know what I've done in this wrestling business.
Of course.
Hey, no regrets. No regrets.
Yeah.
Don't expect nothing out of none of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I did it for the wrestling.
Hey, how about a quick question from when it all started for me on UHF back in those days? Always a fan of Gordon Soley. Can you tell us, how close you were with Gordon? Give us a couple of stories about the greatest announcer ever, Gordon Soley.
Oh, Gordon, I mean, like he'd be in town, we'd go to the bar. Tim Woods, wrestling #1, he owned LP Pips in Atlanta there. And me and my wife would go with Gordon to the bar. We'd have drinks. I'd take him to the airport after TV. Me and Gordon had a good relationship. I mean, Gordon, he was, to me, in which I've never met around Mean Gene Green, so I don't know him. But as far as Southern style, Gordon Soley, #1, bar none.
How was his personality? We only saw the announcer. We never got to know him as a person. How was he as a person, Gordon Soley?
Well, he liked me, So me and him got along. I mean, he might not be everybody's cup of tea, but me and him got along. And, it's like, but there again, that's just where I was so blessed. I mean, Gordon liked me. The guys that I wrestled liked me. So they taught me. And I listened and learned. I mean, Gordon, don't matter how good you are, Gordon he can make or break you. It don't matter how good you are. It's what that man's saying about you over there. And he always spoke well of me. Bill Apter, another man. I was on more wrestling magazine covers than Hulk Hogan or any of them.
You were a
bar
stud.
none.
You were a
Bar
stud. You were
none.
always on those covers.
So
Always.
all them guys out there that promoted and shit can say what they want about Tommy Rich. I know what Tommy Rich did.
Oh, yeah.
So I ain't got to be in no Hall of Fame. Them fans know what I did, you know.
Trust me, at the 80s con,
You should be in, though.
trust
I'm
me, at
sorry.
the 80s con,
And-
you're going to be on fire. Everybody's going to
Oh,
want
I'm
to be
so
with Tommy
excited
Rich.
about that, you know. Plus, it's a cure for cancer. Connor's cure for cancer, man. I'm excited about it. And just to go back to the 80s and see some of your old buddies you ran with, man, it's so cool. And I just want to invite the people out because it's going to be one heck of a day.
It will be.
You've had to watch a lot of losses of your friends and co-workers. Scott Hall passed away recently. And can you share any thoughts on Scott Hall?
Scott, I'll tell you, and Brian Pillman's gone too.
Of course, of course.
I'll tell you a story about both of them. We're out in Texas, and we stop at this steak place. And it's me, Scott, Brian, I think Nick Patrick, and Brad Armstrong, I think. But anyway, they had the deal. 72-ounce steak, plus all the trimmings. You eat it all, it's for nothing. Well, Brian Pillman and Scott Hall both ordered that. And I could see Scott Hall maybe eating it, but they brought it out. It's just like a big hunk of meat. Anyway, Brian Pillman, them people's jaws fell. They both eat that 72-ounce steak, plus eat all them trimmings, man. Them people, they like to die, you know, because nobody ever does it, really. But both of them, at 2 in one sitting, ate it, man. Brian Pillman, he's another one gone. He went way too early. His son, I heard, is doing real good in the wrestling.
And
God bless
he's
him
got a
and his
mullet.
dad.
And he's got a
He's
mullet.
got a serious
He's
mullet.
got a
Does he have a
serious,
mullet?
Yeah, it looks good.
serious
All
mullet.
right, my brother. The mullet is back.
With the roster, because they added another guy.
Yeah,
so.
that's Mullet City. So, again, our first introduction also, where he was talking about solely, was Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we don't really know Roddy Piper. He comes from Portland. He's in Georgia. Makes his mark as a announcer.
Right.
Gets in a big feud with you. Tell us a little bit about Roddy Piper, the man.
Man, oh man.
A good family man, loved his family. God, and he showed, me and Roddy run the roads together. He just, there's another one gone too early. Roddy, and Roddy just, I met his son, very good kid, very respectful. You know, it's sad that we've lost so many around my age, man. And you could go on and you could list a lot of them. Big Terry Gordy, man, one of the best in the business, man. He went way too early. God, I went, San Antonio, Gino Hernandez. I went to Houston, and I met Gino. Chris Adams, man. It's just it's sad that so many is gone, and all of them's in my age group. It's one thing to get old and you pass away, but it's hard, to look at it. It's sad.
Have you grown numb to it? Look, it's just so many of them. At what point do you put a guard up for keep your emotions in check over the flooding memories of your friends?
You're getting too serious now.
Yeah, man.
But I look and I think, why not me, to be honest?
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm very blessed, man, because it could be me that, drinking and driving, that had a bad accident, just anything could happen to you. And you don't think about it then. But now I just think, you think, why did the Lord save me, man? And I'm sitting here drinking a beer, but you think about that.
Well, that's okay. The Lord made it possible for us to make beer. Enjoy.
Well, they drink wine too.
Good
like
fucking
you
wine.
guys.
Good fucking wine.
So
Ask Tito. Hariba! I had to. Any chance I get.
But I do, man. I do. I just, I'm blessed to be here and been with my wife for over 40 years.
There you go.
Raised 3 kids.
How much did your wife factor into keeping Tommy Rich alive? Thank you, Mrs. Rich out there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. How much was the family a factor,
one time the only time she ever really got on my ass, I was hanging out with the Freebirds a lot, and they was big into the Jack Daniels. Beer's my cup of tea.
Okay.
And
Beer is your cup
that
of tea.
whiskey, it makes you feel like you're Andre the Giant or somebody.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess I did a couple of bad things, and she told me it was the Jack Daniels of her. So I ain't never went cold turkey to nothing, but I set that JD to the side.
Jack went bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm trying to envision this, right? Because again, last time I'm a big Freebird guy, right?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
from the Northeast, big
Yeah.
Freebird. But I'm trying to envision Tommy Rich sitting with Buddy Jack Roberts, right? Michael P.S. Hayes, Terry Gordy. Who's taking up the conversation? Are you for?
Michael.
There you go.
That's gotta be Michael.
And you're just like, shut up, dude. Like, let me say something.
No, I just sit there. You couldn't speak over Michael. No.
I can't see it. Yeah, I can see
I'll
that.
tell you a quick story about Michael and the Freebird. But Jimmy Garvin was with him then. It's after Terry had passed. But anyway, we wrestled in Charleston, West Virginia one night. And the Holiday Inn's right next to the Coliseum. So I asked the lady, I said, if I fill this bar up tonight, I said, can the boys drink for nothing? And the Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn bar just
It's
people
filling up.
Check,
It's gonna
they
fill
never
up,
busy.
yeah.
We stayed there a few times,
Right.
It wasn't nothing. So anyway, she looked at me kind of smiled. She said, yeah, you fill this bar up. She said, y'all can drink for nothing.
There you go.
So anyway, I was
And they
wrestling-
had Coors Light. She didn't have to drive
back
to three.
then I drank Bud Light, actually, so I plugged both of them.
Okay, Bud Light. There we go.
But
You mean I could have picked you up Bud Light
Farrell,
earlier?
can I finish the story before I forget it?
Oh, please. Well,
My memory's about this long.
yeah. Well, we better work.
Come
with
on,
what,
man.
We got to work with what works. Hit it. Hit it.
What was I saying? No.
I don't remember. What are you kidding?
We're going back to being rock and
All
roll.
right, no more
star.
wine. You're out.
No, I know.
He wants me to
I
keep
want some of that
drinking.
good fucking wine myself.
No,
damn.
listen to the guest.
This
Let's
Coors
get
Light ain't
drunk.
doing it.
There we go.
No, but anyway, I asked the lady, I said, we fill the bar up, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I'm wrestling Buzz Sawyer in the main event that night. So I get in there, I said, Buzz, after I kick your ass, we're going right next door to the Holiday Inn bar and having a party.
Oh boy.
Son, you couldn't even get the door in the door at the Holiday Inn. There was as many people outside. That lady, she had to treat us, but she was so mad because they had to call extra security, the police, just for the people outside, man. We got out of the car, and I swear to God, like a rock and roll star, people started chasing us, We ran to the room and got in and then went to the bar, but yeah, Freebirds, Big Terry Gordy, he was a team, Buddy Roberts, and Jimmy Garvin, man. That was quite the crew.
So you kind of flared it, right? You gave the little announcement where you're going to be.
Yeah, Ric Flair used to do that on TBS, telling everybody where the party was afterwards.
Well, that's the only time I ever did it.
There you go. Speaking of Ric Flair, I'm not sure. I would assume you're familiar with this show, Dark Side of the Ring, covering the flight from hell. Ric Flair was really thrown, under the bus, and he was under the gun for a while. Are you familiar with the flight from hell? And what are your thoughts on
I don't know.
Ric Flair's? What was it? The plane ride
So
from hell.
basically,
He was swinging his wiener around like a helicopter.
Flair was kind of pushing himself on women and being the rock star that Ric Flair
That
is.
was, well,
So,
Yeah.
in your opinion, did Rick go overboard often with women, or
From what you saw.
We had Baby Doll in here, and Baby Doll said, "Hey, look, this guy, it was like eating filet mignon every night. If he wanted a woman, he had 10 of them.
Right.
10 a night.
Right.
Eventually, you can't turn that off, right? It's just like women all over. Was that Ric Flair?
but if you throwing that cheese out, man, but
He's a rock
there
star.
again, yeah, he was a rock
He's a
star.
rock star.
No doubt. I
Right.
mean, Ric Flair and myself never hung out much, but he was over like a son of a gun.
You
No
guys were a
doubt.
dream match. Did you get along with him at all? Like in real life? What was your dynamic with Ric Flair? Like personally?
We was good business.
Okay.
We was good business.
Did you like him as a person, though? I'm almost sensing
Yeah,
like
I mean,
you
Rick
weren't.
was always nice to me. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
Like I said, we never went and had dinner, went out drinking together or nothing. I mean, and if he announced a bar he was going to, I might go to a different bar. You
Rick-
know what I'm saying? I mean,
So, to be fair, to back on Farrell's point, it looked like hey, he was good business for you, but personally, you weren't.
Yeah,
Big fan, right?
Yeah. We were in two different worlds. I smoked a little weed. He just liked to drink and show his dick. You know? So,
There you go.
there you go. Paul Harvey with the rest of the story.
You were speaking about your wife. Did your wife ever come on the road with you, and did she ever meet some of the other wrestlers? I mean, do you have any stories like that?
Andre and my wife was real good friends. You know, she knew Ricky Martel. I mean, she was, you know, I mean, when I met her, you know, I mean, it was, I mean, she didn't go with me all the time. It was a different time, too. Like today, you bring your girlfriend in. Back then, if she came with me, she'd buy a ticket and come in the door.
Right.
You know, because my deal was to sign autographs, kiss the girls, and hug the babies.
Right.
And she respected that and knew that, you know. But the guys, after the show, my friends, she would meet my friend. Like I said, I mean, Stan Hansen was a good friend of ours. You know, I had good friends that in the wrestling business that would come to my house, or we would go out and party or whatever, you know.
So speak to me about your wife a little bit, right? Because I think it takes a special woman. Look, dude, you're a rock star. You're still a rock star to this day. It takes a special woman to be able to handle that kind of pressure, right? I mean, you're on the road. She's certainly has got to be worried about that. Women are probably throwing themselves, like begging, and, you know. Tell me about your wife. Tell me what she means to Tommy Rich.
I'd be one of them tombstones if it wasn't for her. You know, I mean, I can't promise that, but she's always been there. Like, I got 3 DUIs in 2 days in Ohio and totaled a brand new Lincoln out. And I call her and she sent me money every time. You know, it was our money, but she could have said, kiss my ass, you know. But she's always been there, you know.
So let me ask you that dynamic. Did she give you shit, like when you'd call her and be like, I'm in trouble, and she sent you money? Did she rip you a new ass, or was it like she supported you?
No. I mean, she was, when I met her, she didn't even know who Tommy Rich was. I met her in Atlanta, Georgia at a bar. She didn't even know nothing about no wrestling. She from Charleston, South Carolina. Her sister had lived in Atlanta. And I met her at D. Ford's. You know, we just went to their 50th reunion in down by Anniston, Alabama, you know. But she's been my, you know, she's always been there. And, I mean, everybody's wife's the best in the world. But 2 bets you could have made back in the day. You know, I'd have been the first one gone, and I'd have been the first one divorced. Still here, and my wife's still with
What
me.
made you choose her? Here you are, Tommy Rich. You could have any woman in the world. What made you choose Mrs.
She made me
Rich?
chase her. Bottom line, she didn't know who Tommy Rich was, and I asked her out, and it didn't matter. About 3 months later, we went out, and it was all good then, you know. And but she's always been there.
Little reverse psychology there for the rock star, huh?
All right, we're going to hit you.
Worked.
We're almost out of time. We're going to hit you with the Pharaoh's final question. Tommy, I want to thank you again.
Hey, thank y'all so much.
You are an icon. You are a gentleman. It's very hard to find people like yourself, salt of the earth, and you're just a good man. And the people at 80s Con, go see Tommy Rich, because I'm going to tell you what, never know when you have that kind
Somebody
of
say something about fired up, baby.
That's it. Here comes a wildfire.
Tune into the Monty Python show. Python.
Monty
Pharaoh,
Python?
I'm sorry. I got
The
Monty
Monty
right.
Python? What a
I'm sorry.
That's
It's all
okay.
good.
I feel
Is that
strongly
glass
either way.
that good fucking wine I drank?
Not for nothing. Monty and the Python sounds good too.
It
So
does.
it's all good. Check out Pharaoh's Python. Oy vey. This is getting better.
All right, Pharaoh's final question, brother. Out of his head,
Yeah,
not
Easy
scripted.
up,
This
Pharaoh,
is-
I'm sorry.
Yep, this is going to come from earlier when we were hanging outside ruining your script. But Ric Flair or Harley Race, who's better and why?
Wow.
Put me
Wow.
on the spot. But
You are
that's
on the
good, that's
spot.
good.
You're on the spot.
Bottom line is,
Do it. Do it.
whether it's Monty, Pharaoh, or me, Harley Race would wrestle your style, and my style. Rick would wrestle his style. And that's best of the best. but a general is Harley Race.
Harley Race could adjust on the fly to anybody's particular in-ring style.
Yeah.
Bingo. There you go, Mike. That's Farrell's question. There's Tommy's answer.
And that's the answer.
That's wildfire,
again,
that answer.
look, I'll be fair. I wasn't a Harley Race guy, right? I just wasn't.
He was
right?
a machine, Harley Race.
But you know what?
a machine.
Clearly I'm wrong, because when people come walking through
He was
here,
great.
the respect that the wrestlers like icons like yourself
was
have
great.
for Harley Race, clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's
He was
fine.
great, man.
I'm
That
wrong
guy
all the
was
time.
one tough SOB.
Tommy, I want to
Harley
thank
Race.
you again. Be safe tomorrow. Enjoy your time with these fans. I'm sure they're going to love it. And do me a favor, don't let LaGreca grab your ass, okay?
Yeah, really.
Hey, and y'all out
thinks
there,
you're hot.
y'all tune into Monty and Pharaoh, because they the best show in town. Don't miss it. Be there.
We'll be right back with Jesse Ventura at 7:30.
Wow. You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank y'all.
Later.
The great Tommy Rich, everybody.